Nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title.
House Resolution 1099, resolution reaffirming Iran remains the largest state sponsor of terrorism.
The question is, will the House suspend the rules and agree to the resolution? Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 15-minute vote.
On this vote, the yeas are 372, the nays are 53, 2 recorded as present. 2/3 being the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the resolution is agreed to, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the vote on the adoption of House Concurrent Resolution 38, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title of the concurrent resolution.
Concurrent Resolution 38, concurrent resolution directing the President pursuant to Section 5C of the War Powers Resolution to remove United States Armed Forces from unauthorized hostilities in the Islamic Republic of Iran.
The question is on the adoption of the concurrent resolution. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. On this vote, the yeas are 212, the nays are 219. The concurrent resolution is not adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is a question on agreeing to the motion to recommit on H.R. 7744, offered by the gentlewoman from Connecticut, Ms. DeLauro, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will redesignate the motion.
Motion to recommit H.R. 7744, offered by Ms. DeLauro of Connecticut.
The question is on agreeing to the motion to recommit. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. This vote, the yeas are 213, the nays are 215. In this vote, the yeas are 212, the nays are 217. The motion is not adopted. The question is on the passage of the bill. Pursuant to Clause 10 of Rule 20, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their vote by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. The yeas are 221. The nays are 209. The bill is passed. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose is the gentleman from Michigan seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that in the engrossment of H.R. 6392, the clerk be directed to make the correction I have placed on the desk.
Clerk will report.
On page 3, line 15, strike this act and insert this title.
Without objection, so ordered.
You'll give a better speech.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Oklahoma seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the clerk be authorized to make technical corrections in the engrossment of H.R. 7744 to include corrections in spelling, punctuation, section numbering, and cross-referencing, and the insertion of appropriate headings.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Rhode Island seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that I may be hereafter considered as the first sponsor of H.R. 537, Increased Housing Affordability Act, a bill originally introduced by Representative Sherrill of New Jersey, for the purposes of adding co-sponsors and requesting reprintings pursuant to Clause 7 of Rule 12.
Without objection. Flying home. Am I switching? Okay. So, how do we get order? Order in the chamber. For what purposes, gentleman from New York rise?
Mr. Speaker, I ask for unanimous consent to address the House out of order.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For nearly 2 decades, Westchester's own Richard Dick Ottinger walked in these halls as a congressman and served in this chamber, representing his neighbors with insight and energy. He was first elected to the House in 1964. He left to seek a seat in the United States Senate in 1970, but returned here in 1974 to serve 10 more years. He was an early leader on environmental issues before they became commonplace, and his advocacy for the cleanup of the Hudson River benefited generations to follow. In his post-congressional years, he turned to teaching as a professor at Pace University School of Law, with a building being named in his honor. We lost Dick Ottinger on February 16th, and he joins in our memories the great House members from New York that we've recently lost, Charlie Rangel and Nita Lowey. Dick, like them, is a role model for all of us who serve here today. Please join me in a moment of silence to honor him.
Thank you, members.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, friends. Absolutely. I appreciate it. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Order in the chamber. For what purpose does the gentleman from Iowa rise?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to speak out of order.
Without objection.
Friends, I rise today to honor 6 Americans, including 2 Iowans, who gave their lives for our country. On March 1st, an Iranian drone struck a U.S. Army command center in Kuwait and killed 6 members of the 103rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command in the Army Reserve, which operates out of Fort Des Moines in Iowa, in my district. I want to speak first about these 2 young Hawkeyes. Sergeant Declan Cody of West Des Moines was only 20 years old. He was one of the youngest men in his unit, and by every account, one of the best. He trained as an IT specialist with the Army Reserves while studying cybersecurity at my alma mater, Drake University, right here in Des Moines. He was taking classes online from Kuwait while he defended our country in order to become an officer in the U.S. Army. Last week, he proudly told his father he'd been recommended for promotion from specialist to sergeant. And I'm happy to say, posthumously, he achieved that very honorable rank. With him was Major Jeffrey O'Brien, 45, of Waukee and before Indianola, Iowa, a senior officer in the same unit who spent decades in service. He gave his life keeping our forces in Kuwait safe and Americans at home guarded. I want to say the name of every one of our fallen, because every family represented here today amongst my colleagues from each state where they grew, lived, and served honor this nation in our moment of national heartbreak. Sergeant First Class Nicole Armour, 39, of White Bear Lake, Minnesota. Captain Cody Hork, 35, of Winter Haven, Florida. Sergeant First Class Noah Tijens, 42, of Bellevue, Nebraska. And Chief Warrant Officer 3, Robert Marzan, 54, of Sacramento, California. Out of grief, we renew our resolve. Out of loss, we strengthen our unity. And out of sacrifice, we carry forward an obligation to the families, to the survivors, to our nation, to every man and woman still standing the post today. Mr. Speaker, I respectfully ask the House now observe a moment of silence in honor of our fallen. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
The chair will now entertain requests for 1-minute speeches. For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman from Florida is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is easy to criticize anti-Semitism when it happens on the other side. It is more difficult to address it when it happens on your own. It was not enough for Tucker Carlson to a few days ago say every Jew should have to do a DNA test to prove that they were Jewish. It was not enough for him to say that a terrorist should be able to kill us if they are under 18 years old. But yesterday, Tucker Carlson attacked perhaps the best, the most good group of Jews that are out there, a group of people who see their job to evangelize not other Jews, but Jews themselves, Chabad, a group that no one ever has anything bad to say about because they care about everyone. I wear a kippah from UF Chabad today in honor of them. We have a cancer in this country. It is anti-Semitism, and Tucker Carlson represents it. He is many things, but one thing President Trump and I agree on is he is certainly not MAGA. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Pennsylvania seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. President Trump has launched us into a war of choice with Iran, with no clear explanation, yet we know some of the consequences. 6 U.S. service members have been killed, dozens injured. More than 40,000 of our troops, including hundreds of Pennsylvanians, are at risk. Thousands of American citizens stranded. I do not mourn the loss of Ayatollah Khomeini, yet I am gravely concerned about the danger and destruction that Mr. Trump has unleashed in the Middle East. Abraham Lincoln wrote that our founders resolved to so frame the Constitution that no one man should hold the power to bring oppression of war upon our nation. That power lies with Congress because we are closest to the people, and it is why I voted today in favor of the War Powers Resolution. Mr. Speaker, I lift the names of our fallen soldiers just as our colleagues did a moment ago. I lift their names in prayer. Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amar, Sergeant First Class Noah Tegens, Sergeant Declan Cody, Major Jeffrey O'Brien, Chief Warrant Officer Robert Marzan. God bless them. God bless their families. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Ohio seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is now recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize Ezra and Cleo Teeters from Waverly, Ohio. Ezra and Cleo represent an extraordinary love story that spans more than 8 decades. Ezra and Cleo met as children, growing up in the same neighborhood and sharing the same bus ride. Their life has been full of love and amazing memories, as together they have 1 son, 2 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. Their marriage began in the middle of a snowstorm during the Christmas season of 1945 when Ezra was on leave from his service in the Army in World War II. Ezra and Cleo drove across the Ohio border into Kentucky to get married at the age of 19. Ezra and Cleo kept this secret, telling everyone they were going to Christmas shopping, but really they were going to get married. This year, both Ezra and Cleo will celebrate their 100th birthdays. I wish them continued health and congratulate them on their amazing life that they have shared together over the past 8 decades. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Arizona seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is now recognized for 1 minute.
As we begin Women's History Month, I rise to recognize a true leader from Southern Arizona, Deanna Lewis. In 1984, Deanna became the first woman and the first Black woman to serve in the Tucson Fire Department. In a profession where few women had previously worked, she stepped forward anyway, not to make history, but to protect and care for her community. Over a 20-year career in the fire departments of both Tucson and Tubac, Deanna demonstrated strength, integrity, and a deep commitment to Southern Arizona families. Because of her, more women now see themselves in uniform, in leadership, and in public service. This Women's History Month, we honor Deanna Lewis for her trailblazing leadership and recommit ourselves to building a future where every young woman, whether she dreams of fighting fires or serving in the halls of Congress, knows there is a place for her. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Wyoming seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
I rise today to recognize and congratulate Jen Womack of Newcastle, Wyoming, for being named the 2025 Person of the Year by the Newsletter Journal. Jen has long been a cornerstone of both her Newcastle community and our state. You may know her name from her time diligently reporting for the Wyoming Livestock Roundup, the extensive work she has done to document history in both Converse County and the history of the origins of the Pathfinder Ranch, or from the impact she made on so many of our young people during her time leading the Wyoming FFA Foundation. She has now opened 2 thriving small businesses on Main Street in Newcastle and has established a community support fund called the Sunshine Fund. Jen is like a rising tide who lifts her community and her neighbors. She represents all that is great about the Cowboy State and truly embodies the tight-knit community spirit found across Wyoming. Please join me in recognizing and celebrating the accomplishments of Newcastle, Wyoming's Jen Womack, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Virginia seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Much has been said about the president's war in Iran. He has not made the case clear to the American people about what he's looking to achieve. Regime change from the air may be unlikely and may result in a more extreme, hostile, and dangerous regime than existed before. All of that is true. But what's truly unacceptable is the cost, both in American blood and American treasure. We don't know yet the cost of the war, but by some estimates, as much as $1 billion a day. The president has said 4 to 6 weeks, and that translates to $28 to $42 billion. I've heard even more alarming reports from senior DOD officials earlier today. That money won't be spent on lowering working Americans' grocery bills, prescription drugs, and gas at the pump. But the most horrifying cost is the 6 Americans who have been killed, including one who was a constituent that lived in Spotsylvania County, Virginia. And yesterday, the Secretary of Defense said it's tragic news that is reported because the press only wants to make the president look bad. That's outrageous and beyond the pale. This is not about the president. It's not about the secretary. It's about the service members. The American people are deeply concerned about our sons and daughters and are dying in a war that just 27% support. Thank you, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from the Hoosier State of Indiana seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask for unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to honor the life of legendary college football coach Lou Holtz, who passed away this week at the age of 89. Over a truly remarkable 33-year coaching career, Coach Holtz won 249 games at football programs across the country. Most of all, Coach Holtz is best remembered for restoring Notre Dame football to greatness. In 1988, he guided the Fighting Irish to a perfect 12-0 season in a national championship, cementing his place among the greatest leaders in the history of college football. But Coach Holtz's legacy goes far beyond wins and championships.